And welcome back to another episode of All of Fabric 5, where today, well, we need to sort some things, but in between episodes I did kick off the craft for the Gravichestplate, which we now have. So a little bit anticlimactic instead of actually crafting this episode, but all of these things took so long to craft and I was kind of just sitting around waiting for stuff to happen, and then I had the resources available to do this. I didn't have time to record, so just kicked it off, and now we have it. The Gravichestplate. Gravichestplate 10. Nice. Sweet. Yeah, so this is going to give us creative flight. Now, we have to charge it up by right-clicking on a power source, so I'm thinking this is going to charge it up a little bit, but now we're very, very much out of power. We kind of have to wait for that to recharge, but... Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's going to be so handy for, like, coming along and... Oh, there's just weird things happening. It's going to be so handy for coming along and sorting out... Occasionally, these crafting storage things are getting jammed up. I think with, like, a bit of rubber that can't get inserted or something. I think it was only when I had all this janky auto-crafting setup going on that I had, but... we probably don't want to leave that running all the time since it's going to use all of our power. But I am curious, can we enchant this thing? That is something I am not sure about. That would be handy if we could get like some protection or something on it. And that may not be the case. No, we can't enchant it. Okay, that's fair. I didn't really think we were going to be able to. But alright, what are we doing today? Well... we're out of coal, and I've actually had to start burning coal coke for resources, which is not ideal. And I've got a whole bunch of bronze drills being crafted at the moment. And some lapis, I might even cancel that. It's probably jamming up some machines. But yes, got 988 bronze drills scheduled. And this is taking a long time. We got all these bronze bolts, which are because we're not crafting our bronze gears with the soldering stuff, which we probably should be doing. So we want to make our drills cheaper to craft so that we can have them running. I think I also want to have multiple quarries running. I think if we have 5, that's all the different types of resources, and that should be enough. We could overclock them if we need more things. Also means we need to redo this system because this is not going to keep up with more than one quarry. But the reason we want to get all these drills going is so that we have enough coal to keep our power running, because this guy's already out. Oh, because these are set to whitelist of inputs. That'll do it. Yeah, we're just burning... Oh, you're a blacklist. Okay. Oh, you must be... Alright. There we go. So we're starting to burn the coke dust, which is not ideal. Not ideal at all. But we need something to keep the base running. So yes, when I was crafting the Gravichestplate, I did find I was actually constantly running out of power when all these blast furnaces were running. And it wasn't that we didn't have the power in here, it was that the cables weren't transferring enough. So I tried like splitting them up, so only half are going here, so we're not like fully utilizing the amount of power we can transfer. But I think it's probably time to move to HV cables. Probably solve a lot of our issues. Why are you out of power? You got steam. Oh, they're all out of power, and I suspect those aren't connected. They're connected to these bottom ones. I mean, this power transfer is everywhere. Oh, it's probably still just recharging after I was charging up the Gravichestplate, which holds a lot of power. Yeah, I think we need to move on to some better power generation. We can start looking at the nuclear reactor, and I've been having a little bit of a play around with this. Oh, we don't have the quest for the Gravichestplate because I don't have any superconductor cables. We might as well grab that. Ah, boom. There we go. Cool. yes, I've been having a little bit of a play around with the nuclear reactor in creative mode. It's kind of interesting. I suspect it would be a bit of a mission to try and craft this at the moment. Like, it's a lot of blast-proof alloy. We need a whole heap of these casings. If we wanted a bunch of blast-proof alloy, like 100, we could craft it. And actually, this doesn't look like too bad of a craft. Doesn't look like too bad of a craft. So we might look at doing that. Something else we need to look at doing, and this was mentioned in the comments as well, is the other day we struck the issue where this was, and actually, oh dear, that was not what I wanted. There's a way to determine which direction these things can extract in. There we go. Oh, there we go. And we want it pointing down. There we go. And this way, this will only ever shoot resources down into the machine underneath. And yeah, we don't need to set anything else up on this. We could set up this to only ever do this recipe, but it shouldn't matter too much. So I actually want to go around and just make sure that all of these are set like this. I don't think these have a face like that, so that should be fine. And that'll stop some of the weird crafting stuff that was happening. Just, I might have a little bit of a play around, get some more. No, actually, let's sort the drills first. I want to get the cheaper recipes for gears, at least bronze gears for a start. That requires some soldering alloy, which is just a blast furnace recipe, soldering alloy dust, which is tin dust and lead dust. So this shouldn't be too bad to get sorted. All right. So we got some soldering alloy set up here. We've got this dedicated blast furnace. This Gravichestplate is very handy, but also very heavy on power. So he's turning soldering alloy dust into soldering alloy. Pretty simple. Now, I was just going to have this producing all the time, and it might still be something we do after we get our infinite resources going. And that's really going to be the next thing, is getting one of each of these going, so we've constantly got infinite resources, which will hopefully be generating like enough coal to keep things going. I've had to disconnect all of my coke ovens just at the moment because it kept turning all of the coal into coke dust, and we still need coal for crafting like circuits, which that's something we should probably automate as well in terms of changing the automation. But we'll get to that at another point. But I really want to get this assembler set up. Now I'm going to want to upgrade this. No, I probably shouldn't use that, that's too fast. I do want to eventually upgrade this to probably MV rather than just LV. And maybe we do that. Might just... Oh dear. Did we just... We might have just destroyed Striker's mimic. Whoops. Yeah, I really need to get rid of that enchant off these pants, actually. It's quite a pain. We need to charge this up, though. It's a little bit low. Can we... No, we can't just right-click on that. We have to right-click on these things. There we go. Bit more power. Bit more power. If we were to get advanced machine hull, can we craft one of these? Yeah, let's get one of these going. We'll go for MV. And we want to change all of our gear crafting recipes. Now, are we crafting gears for this? We're not, so we should be pretty safe to take them out of this. I want to go through, take out all of the gear recipes. And we're going to make them with this assembler instead. So we want to be changing these recipes all to assembler ones. And that saves you the little bolts. And that shouldn't be too bad. A little bit tedious, but we'll just chuck all of these in the assembler. And put like some speed upgrades on it. And it should be okay, I hope. Right, so this is all crafting now. And it's making me want to get some production lines going for all of this stuff. And I've got a kind of an idea of how we might do it. Where we have like a dedicated production line where we end up with, I guess bronze drills probably aren't the best, although it might be okay. We've got these barrels from modern industrialization, and I guess we could actually use regular barrels as well and just fill them full of a dummy item. And I guess what I'm talking about when I say a dummy item is we could fill it full of something we don't care about, probably not tin cables, and then have like an assembler that has all of the components fed into it that eventually results in like a bronze drill, and they just end up stacked inside this barrel. How we get this back into the system, maybe we don't. Maybe we'd end up with a stack of drills here, so we'd constantly have a full stack, and then this would just be exporting just via an item pipe into an item input hatch on an electric quarry. So we'd have dedicated lines of machines making all of the bits and pieces that keep drills going, and that doesn't need to be hooked into the AE system at all. I mean, eventually the ores that this is creating and that get processed would have to go into the system, but that would save us like a lot of channels. We wouldn't have to run all this, aside from potentially like inputting the raw resources, which would be things like bronze, bits and pieces like that, unless we're also producing bronze in a production line in that same fashion, which could be the go. And I think that's going to be better than the attempt that was made with this. Because the problem with this was it kind of just ties up the channel. That's interesting stuff happening in the system again. It ties up the channel. We were having issues with these kind of getting stuck all the time, although I think that was just not having these interfaces with that directionality thing put into them. I think that was the issue there. Yeah, this didn't seem to work super great. And then we'll have, I think, 5 electric quarries constantly producing resources. And then we want to do the same sort of thing potentially for like capacitors and these other little components that we have to make sometimes. Mate. A player damage plate causes player damage to anything that walks on it. I mean, that sounds good. That actually sounds okay. That sounds like something I might want. Give me all of those things. 1. Oh, yep, including me. Cool. But you don't need to exist. Capacitors. These things are used for like creating these analog circuits. Actually, that's all they're used for. But then these analog circuits are used for making everything. Like they're used all over the show. And they're certainly used for making these components, which are then in turn used all over the show, which are then used in like these components, which are also used all over the show. And I think these are used for making these components. And I think that's probably the final tier. Nope, that's the final tier of circuit, which is then used for like crazy stuff. But the end result of that is sometimes when we're crafting, like if we wanted to craft a plasma turbine, that would probably require tens of thousands of capacitors. And we really don't want to have to autocraft that when we need it. We kind of want that just always there. So there's a couple of ways we could do that. And I'm thinking like a barrel. We just have a barrel somewhere and a production line that makes capacitors, plonking it into a barrel. Now it is going to feel a little bit like we're going backwards because we started making capacitors a long time ago and we can autocraft them now. Like I can come in here and say, hey, give me not pristine matter, give me capacitors, and we can make that. Like it's not an issue. It's just the time that it takes to make all of this. So actually this is an example of what we'd need. We'd need rubber sheets just constantly being produced. We would need gold plates constantly being produced. These ingots, this could come from one of our electric quarries running, which we could then be making actually everything from this. Yeah. So we probably want to do something like that. And I think also with using an assembler, it's way cheaper. It's 4 times cheaper for the same amount of resources. So yeah, I've been crafting these the wrong way for quite a while. So that's going to be the plan. It's not going to be super interesting, so that might be a bit of off-camera work. But it's going to be the next thing. You are not exporting automatically. There we go. Now you're exporting automatically. That's better. We might. Hey, our bronze drills are now running. Cool. So we're going to be starting to get some resources. We can probably almost cut back over to using coal dust for fuel. I don't know if we've got like a whole stack of coal dust. We do. Okay, so let's stop using coal coke. And eventually this will be overclocked enough that we should hopefully get a good supply of coal. I think what I want to do now is craft the 5 electric quarries for the different drills. We want, now I think that's only used for oil. We'll eventually get to that, but not right now. We definitely want bronze drills all the time. Copper drills, no. Gold drills, yeah, sure. Stainless, yes. Titanium eventually, and steel. So yeah, there's the 5 different electric quarries we're going to want. And the process begins. So these actually aren't finished yet. I'm still waiting on the energy inputs to happen, but once we get them, we have 5, and yeah, I didn't really need this one over here as well, but we've got 5 sharing wall quarries. So we're going to have, outputs on the front, inputs on the back, and somewhere all of the processing lines for making the different drills is the plan. We'll see how that goes. There's probably going to be a bunch of different processing lines we need as well, especially if we start looking at things like the titanium drill. I really want to have all of this stuff in processing lines as well. Like, yep, all of this, yep, that would be good to have in separate things. And then we get some of these barrels of some description, maybe even just these ones with like the dummy items in there. And we constantly keep like 64 drills being crafted by each line, and unless these start using it faster than the processing lines can keep up, we should have infinite resources all the time. Because hopefully the bronze one's going to be getting us enough coal. This guy's been running for a while now, and he's overclocked, so I don't know how many of our 500 bronze drills we've used. But yeah, we're starting to get some resources in here. It probably makes sense to start prioritizing coal, just in case that gets a bit low. So I don't actually know how much coal we've got, whether or not we've got a big back stuff like we used to. We got 2,000. Yeah, that should be pretty cool. I might want to hook back up this stuff. So we've constantly got coal coke happening. That might be a useful thing to do. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's probably not a bad thing to do. Alright, we have creative flight at the cost of a bit of power, which that might be a problem. I think we'll come back next time. I'll have a few of these processing lines set up. We'll have infinite resources, and we'll be starting to look at getting some better power. I did set up a diesel generator. You can kind of see it running just beside me there. That's just an MV one, and we'll look at getting some better power generation next episode, because yeah, we're starting to struggle. But anyway, it's been ClassicDuff. Thanks for watching. Come back next time for some more All of Fabric 5. See ya.